morning, it could be night, it could be afternoon. All depends on where you're coming from. Just thought I'd come on in here, and we're gonna come in here and just chop it up. We're gonna come in here and chop it up. That's not what I want. Get in here and get this thing straight. You know how it is when you're trying to get some stuff straight. Based upon who all I see, um, we're gonna see what we're dealing with. Get this world premiere cracking up. Get this thing all cracking up. Okay, now we got it. This question lined up. Ease. Okay, so we got this thing all lined up. I am coming to you live today. Okay, we are here live today. We're gonna see what's up, and I'm gonna be here for see what kind of people coming in and what we're dealing with. Just waiting to see who all comes in today. Hope everybody's having a good day. I got to send out these fillers to let people know that I am live because my YouTube monitoring thing doesn't go through. So, anybody wants to find me on Facebook, and you want to find me and you want me to send you a direct bubble head, feel free to. I have no problem with letting you know. So I will gladly, just let me know that you're on and what have you. The question is Shannon Sharp in trouble? It's pretty self explanatory. All the stuff that's going on, his counters, the exchanges, you know. What do I think about it? Well, I remember the Joy Taylor story, which came out, and it did allude to some of his situations about how he was on the set, and he just got through trying to get this nine-figure deal, and now they're coming up with these figures. So, what do I think about it? Well, this ain't his first dance in this situation. See, the thing about it is this: no one ever takes you to the po station no more. Now they just hit you with the lawsuits because it's easier to get the bag and we can settle. It's harder to prove it, but in civil, you can get civil doesn't require as much. It's a different situation. So accountability, responsibility, how quickly do you want it to go away? Blah da 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 da. So this is where we are with that. So anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about it, and I'm hit and miss with old Club Shay Shay. I think a lot of stuff was happening. How you doing? A lot of stuff with him, it's entertainment sakes and what have you, and what it goes, and sometimes people are kind of like, oh, well, being part of that money. But when you boast and brag, you're gonna definitely have people that are gonna come after to see if you really bought that life. They're gonna come after you and they're gonna try to shake your pockets. So kind of what he's dealing with, you know. So you want to find out if he bought it. So, and I hope for his sake that things work out really good. But it's a tricky proposition. What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? Glad to see you. Thanks for coming on. Thought I'd try a little bit earlier today and see what we got. So we're gonna talk about it. Yeah, I got the whole story. Came out like in the big shebang yesterday, and I thought, okay, we're gonna talk about Club Shay Shay and what's going on with that. So hope everybody's having a good day though. Thank you for coming through. But yeah, um, he's a public figure. He's got multiple podcasts. You know, the nighttime one, but he's corporate though. So I'm gonna say this because of that fake Instagram video that he did, that makes him look suspect. If he didn't do that fake video, I've done live streams on Instagram. You can't really accidentally push record. So that's why I call cap on him with that. Some of his antics have been a bit, over the top and what have you. I don't know if you read that Joy Taylor report where, how she basically gave the booty and did whatever, and that whole thing. But they said he was pretty much flexing on it. That's one of the reasons why Skip Bayless got all angst over him because he was flexing and he was talking trash. So he has had a reputation with certain things. I'm not saying that this is true in the situation. Thank you for saying that. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because you do too much for the bag, and then when the bag rips and opens up, you just another soul brother or soul sister left on the outside. They really ain't got nothing to use for you. And when they done with you, it's like they don't know you. And he been down this road before. And look at his good friend Michael Irvin. Look at his good friend Michael Irvin with that whole fiasco over almost a hug, which really wasn't a hug in the lobby, but because of his past reputation, Fox Sports, ESPN, all of them ran for Michael Irvin without any just due process. So sometimes you got to look at what's happening in front of you and the people that you see alongside of you. And Cosby, yeah, they used the one thing about there's difference between justice for black folks and justice for white folks. Black folks, they use the whole tail tape against you, some form of capacity. They just do. Because the Cosby thing was ridiculous. He should have never been incarcerated. Now, paying all that money is one thing, and admitting his wrongs is one thing. But what they did, that should never came to be. So, anyway, yeah, you got to watch that in totality. You definitely have to watch that in totality. I can't emphasize that enough. In totality. Please continue to hit the likes and the shares and hit the poll. And everybody's coming in, feel free to come on in and chime. We're coming to you bright and early. Depends on where you are in the world. It could be Tuesday or it could be Wednesday. I do have people from all over the world who come through here. So feel free. Let me know what's up. Keep the conversations going and keep them alive. But that's a great point that you said, Tom. That's exactly right, time. Because you understand corporate ain't for you. And they can flip on you anytime they want. Anytime. They don't owe you nothing. So I don't know if he's in trouble. He ain't in trouble, but he'd be in trouble in the sense that some of them sponsors could be funny with him. And when he put, I saw the text message that he hit back. Well, yeah, those are your receipts, but that's pretty offensive lingo of what you're putting out there. Because then it's like you paid for something, and so you can't explain that away. That's your business. But then if you have to resort to stuff like that, then who are you hanging out with? Because it doesn't make him look good either. Your rebuttal looks shady anyway. I'm gonna be here for if I don't be here for a little while. hoping that people will come through. If they don't come through, then I won't be here for 20 more minutes. I'm going to see if I get enough buzz that comes through. I'll be on for an hour, but I need some comments and conversation. And of course, it'll be rebroadcasted on the podcast and the different forms I've got. But we can make this thing really snap, crackle, and pop if people come through and want to chime in. What's up? Waiting on you to come through. Thank you. Thank you. You told me 20 minutes. I just got through finishing up some videos I was working on. So I got some future videos I'm working on. So I had some stuff I had to do to get to detail, but I'm here. I would imagine so. I think it's a bad look for him regardless because yeah, he got the receipts, but he's always in some stew with some mess messing with these tricks. And he didn't had all them tricks come on his show and all that stuff that been going on. He has no tact or discretion. That's why he's a fall guy and a setup guy for a mess like this. Cause you up there wearing bodysuits and you flexing, and you up here running around all this stuff looking suspect. So it's like you don't want all that. And besides, he acts too corporate and too stiff. See, all them cats is bought and paid for. He's no different than Shaq. Oh, I know what Vince McMahon got DC connections. He got Hollywood connections. You do know. You do know that if his neck wasn't so stiff and he wasn't so tired, Vince McMahon could be in Trump's shoes. You do know that, right? I think you had mentioned that about that yesterday about TDJ. Cause that's sad reality. Oh well, yeah. And plus, you're a country bama too. You up there talking all that smack. Folks ain't trying to hear what Shannon Sharp got to say. They pay you to talk about that football and be happy that you're there. And besides, we already knew Sterling had the personality in the family. I watch him, but I don't talk about him because he be messing with folks who talk about his funny ways. Oh yeah, Ben, Ben, Ben doing that, man. Ben. We always used to like Sterling better. You know, Sterling was loud with that jewelry. We like Sterling. Shannon was like that country bumpkin who got a couple dollars and he was like just as loud as Steve Harvey, and then got it's one of those kind of cats that I respected his talent. I did. I bet he did. And they all know about Shannon. They all know. Because that story with Joy Taylor, that whole thing said that's what got Skip all. Because Skip was trying to flex and Skip ain't, he was looking at it because Shannon was up there being obviously blatant with them. You know how it is. Typical trademark jock and was talking smack and was flexing. Yeah, they all do. And Shannon was so giddy to get back with Stephen A. Smith and to resume his podcast because he's bought and paid for. And that whole mess, I don't discuss my business, but I have made some. I've had people who donated. If you must know, people have donated and sponsors. You asked me one time, I don't do two times. Okay, you seem like you're trolling now. I'm about to get you up out of here. If you answer that question one more time, I have to take that off because I don't want to be getting. But anyway, I've done pretty good for myself. Let's just say that with the sponsors, with everything, with an understanding of the political ramifications, everything. Is this real? Yeah, let me get this crap out of here. I don't know why this stuff is coming on here. They coming left and right, and then that makes one of the reasons why I come on later than I do. Some of it's because they don't like some of the content. Thank you, man. You know, I wear it from time to time. I got it as a gift. Oh, I appreciate that. Well, the people that support on have definitely helped out, and I've definitely been doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. It takes work though. It's you got content, and then people will support, but I put the work in first and foremost. And I'm on different platforms and stuff and places, but this is the one. But you got to also, it's a fine line how you say things, where you say things, and who you say things, and all that. But yeah, I got this as a gift, Tid. Actually, buddy of mine, his ex-wife and them got this for me a long time ago, and I used to have the tag on like the mini pearl thing, but it fell off. But anyway, I got this along. That was a gift, so I always dug it. But anyway, yeah, oh yeah, Whitlock be knowing stuff. Y'all do. Are you surprised? I mean, first of all, he's not a poor and destitute student. Second of all, it's viable with what was being presented and what was said. And third, if everybody starts talking about self defense and says it, he got a legit case because the peer in him are the same age. This ain't no classic example of like George Zimmerman or Kyle Rittenhouse going to a whole nother town, other state lines to do what they did. So how can you really argue against what he's proposing? Because most of the times when they say self defense, oh, I did a video on that. Yeah, I talked about it. I did a video about that about a week ago. Oh yeah, black judge who went by the letter of the book, by the way. So let me explain for some people out there who listen who don't know. They look at your files. They look at your points. It's a system of points in the states. And when they look at your files and your points, they see how many points you got. They're gonna go according to merit where you are. So she obviously got a blueprint that the kid wasn't a threat. She looked into his eyes. She didn't. She never picked up that he had any, done anything. So she said, "I'm getting benefit of the doubt. He gonna be electronically monitored, and he's known in the states now with a name like Carmelo. You're not exactly gonna be rolling around, you know, in disguise. So that's what's up. Well, his thing is a little bit different because he started, as a sports broadcast. That's primarily what his thing is. He ain't gonna morph into Brian Gumbo. Tries him because first of all, he doesn't have that dictation. He doesn't have that. He tries to be a stylist. He ain't. I remember, and that's what I mentioned about Michael Irvin. That should be a lesson to Shannon Sharp and to all of them. Because Michael Irvin got falsely accused. Now he had a reputation in his past and all the other stuff, but that situation when they turned on him, they wouldn't let him on the set, and he didn't do it. That should be a lesson. That's how you know you're still black in America. But I get tired of trying to tell turkeys who don't want to hear me though, because they somehow think, oh well, oh that's I said, no, they got a way of reminding you. Even if you wear that big old star on your helmet, even if you went to the University of Miami and you were a top tier athlete and player, and you still what they see. So don't get it twisted. Yeah, Cameron and Mace had OJ and Mike Irvin. And Mace is cool about stuff. You Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a huge compliment. Appreciate you saying that. I learned all my stuff by growing up with the elderly. You know what I'm saying? Because people used to talk. They used to tell you stories. They used to put you things in perspective. There wasn't no, smooth music to just act like you have to be aware of what the society is about. You have to listen to when Reggie Jackson was telling you what it was like in the minor leagues, which they don't want to talk about too much no more. You have to hear those stories to understand where you're growing, where you're going. Because if you don't know where you've been, you'll never know where you're going. And if you can't see, Your backyard, you sure can't see what's in the front. You got to see it from all angles. You got to treat life like a quarterback would. Catch all the peripheral side views, everything that's coming in. So I like to have these conversations, and we talk about real. Talk about it real. There's no sugarcoat because it's real. We dealing with real life situations. We dealing with how people act one way or the other. And I just asked the question. Do you think he's in trouble? Do I think he's legal? Well, once they do, is if they want to be done with him. They accusing you of something. You're right, good or bad. Look at Emmett Till. Look at Emmett Till. Carolyn Bryant never got any repercussion for what she said about Emmett Till. You're right. Granted, you can go through your life, a certain way, but there's certain things that stigmas, especially when money's involved. And this is the newest thing. I still think this came from the OJ thing. Really, what was it about? Because I haven't watched it yet. What did they get into it about? Was it about the most sorry Lakers? I can't imagine anything else they would get into it about. I'd imagine there's got to be some tension though, because Stephen A. got to be envious of the fact that this cat got the kind of it he'll never. Oh yeah, well LeBron is washed. He ain't gonna play no. He can't carry the situation without it being. First of all, he's older. Second of all, the body's bound up taking a beating, and he just, you know, all this talk about, oh, if those were the three teams going to the finals, it's hard to bet against Boston, but I'd like to see OKC do it. But Cleveland doing it, I got no problem with all three of them teams if they did it. But I'd like to see OKC or Cleveland, really. In a different type of jealousy though. Skip was challenged as a white man, and the physique and the aura, and then the accomplishment. Because Shannon had to have all that to sit with Skip. Let that sink in. Skip is a good journalist, what he know, but the shock jock and that persona mess, and then to have a guy coming off the street and had a persona that towered over you, had to make him up. Stephen A. because he can't hit the streets like Shannon. He too bougie. And see, that's the difference right there. He bougie. So it's a different type, but Stephen A has to grin and bear because hey, you know, me too. Me too. This mess is that's just at David Stern because of the Laker mess back in the day, and they want to extend everything because they don't want no upsets, which they used to be. Joy's gonna walk a fine line, but Joy's already been bought and paid for. But it's a message where they are going to pay payback because there is a back there. That's what I'm saying. They watching and they set up black athletes on these networks. Don't get it twisted, cause did not Marcellus Wiley's now on streams. He don't have no show on there no more. Obviously, Whitlock got ran out of there. You ain't on there no more. So if you Paul Pierce, you better watch what you do. Obviously, Michael Irvin got to watch what he do. Ocho, who's not much of a threat, he really ain't no threat. You know, but they mix and match these sort of things. And she flexed on there. Of course, that goes on. It's nothing new. This is why Me Too and cancel culture and all this stuff is a joke because it comes down to the. She ain't got to. She got fallback plans. She got fallback plans, and she respectable enough where she got a fallback plan. But when you say cut them like other black women, well, if you're talking about Pam Oliver, she ain't no Pam Oliver. You know, See, it's a different type of journalist that's at work there. Oh yeah, of course. Everything I talk about with reference that booty for looty. It's all tied to that. Every the mindset. People be like, "Oh, that's back then." Well, you still operating with a Jim Crow situation today. You still look at the imagery. He won't do that though. He ain't gonna do that. He's not going to put himself on the block. So you're wishful thinking. You think he gonna turn into Karl Malone? And what's up, Arnell? He ain't gonna turn into that. The problem that you run into with that is if Gobert and them fringe on him, that slows his game down. That slows his game down. He ain't gonna, and plus he'd have to post up, and he's not gonna do that. I'm gonna say this again the best way I know how. Even if they come back and win the series, this is not a good series for them because um, Minnesota on the perimeter they force you. Well, they got Nazi who can shoot that thing with quickness. Nazi Reed is quick. And if if Ant plays a quarterback game, you in trouble. That's what he did. He played quarterback. So if he get his 20 and 10, and everybody else gets fed, and Julius Randle is always good for 18 to 20 boards and dimes. That's a bad. That's a nightmare for you. Well, for Kawhi, it reminds people that he belongs in the same sentence with Steph Curry and LeBron James and Durant, especially with Steph and LeBron. That's what that does for him. For James Harden, it don't really do it won't move him up nothing. He had a comeback season. We're gonna see. 40-year old ain't gonna turn into no 20-year old. Okay, stop the cap. Stop the cap. This is a whole different mountain he has to climb. He's gonna have some moments. It won't move him up because James Harden is past where we're not having those discussions about him no more. It does more for Kawhi than it does for Harden. It helps him on his resume, but you're not looking at James Harden in the same light as you're looking at Steph Curry. You're looking at him with his total numbers. Now, when he gets 30,000 career points, and if he had a ring, then people will say, yeah, he was great. But then let's not get ridiculous. We're not looking at James Harden in the top 25 ever. We're not. He's great, but he ain't in that argument, even with the ring. And he ain't gonna move past Jokic, and he ain't gonna move past Giannis. Okay, and he ain't better than his peer core. Okay, he ain't better than Steph and LeBron, and he ain't better than Kawhi. He's better scorer. I'll give you that. But does anybody sit there and say, "Oh, I'm gonna put him"? Oh, Kawhi can do it. And this is a very tough series for Denver. It's a tough matchup. Well, he has to be the MVP. He already got a ring. He has to be the MVP. If he wins Eastern Conference Player and he wins the Finals MVP, then then with the second ring, then you can start to say, okay, he's up there with Paul Pierce. He ain't there with Larry Bird, and he ain't there with Russell, but he moves up there with Pierce with the second ring and a Finals MVP, and he leaves a stamp. That's what it'll do for him, and he got a good chance to get it. That is a disrespect because he was better player than Jimmy Butler. You're just like when Kenny Smith last night said that Ron Artest and Kawhi Leonard. I was like, no, Kawhi Leonard is better than those guys. Better. I like Jimmy Butler a lot, but he ain't no Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard got a better scoring cat. If Kawhi had stayed in San Antonio, what he did, well, that's the least of his problems. He just got to stay healthy. For Udoka, it's a redemption. It's revenge because Boston got his ring. Joe Mazzulla, they got his ring. They owe him a ring. So Jalen Green won't appreciate it for another 5 years because he ain't even in his. it won't really hit Jalen Green. He'd have to play out his mind. He had to play out his mind. But for Udoka, oh yeah, it's a big deal for Udoka. Considering how he left Boston and considering that those guys were his, that was part of his team. Oh, it does one. It does big for him. But for Jalen, not right now. He too green. He too green to appreciate it. It's one of them things that he has to come back and about, 5, 10 years later. It's like, oh, okay. It's kind of like when Kobe got the first ring or two with the Lake with Shaq. It didn't really hit him until then. It hit you in a different interval because you're in the moment of it, especially when you're that young and you haven't even hit your peak in your prime. You haven't really hit your ceiling. So when the cat hits its ceiling, that's when it's like, oh, I ain't gonna trip about Jamal Murray's sleeve. I mean, bottom line is they got to figure out how to sleeve up the Clippers on the perimeter, and they're gonna have a problem with that. That could be a long, quick. That could be a quick series if the Clippers get back home and do their thing. And Denver has not been consistent with finishing out. They got lucky in game one, so you know. I did a video about the Knicks and the Nuggets, and I talked about that. So anyway, all right, continue to hit this the five in the thing. So thank you for the votes. 60% say yes. 60% say Shannon Sharp's in trouble. I think it's gonna be some repercussions. I definitely do. I don't know the totality. Thank you, Ted, for letting me know about him and that whole thing. Only if they don't go to the finals. Only. Only. And I'm gonna tell you something. Houston, yeah. Because he's going to a team that doesn't go to finals to be the bus rider. The truth is Detroit should be up 2-0. If Dennis Schroeder or any of them cats can step up, Tobias Harris, who there is a Tobias Harris sighting, I tell you, he ain't the four top no more. He came up. They can beat New York. I told you this series is a bad. There's two series that were on last night. They bad matchups for Detroit for New York and LA Clippers for Denver. That's not the kind of way you want to start off. We will see. We will see. But anyway, Detroit. I know Stephen ain't gonna want to talk about it because Cade Cunningham and them ain't the. But I'm telling you, them cats, they can beat New York. And if Brunson and them get tired, if Cat falls and does what he does, his twinkled self like he did last night, that series is over. Because you gotta have all your horses running, and they don't get no scoring, they're in trouble. And New York is going through these lulls where they can't score, but that's Tibbs' fault. You work that 6 man rotation crap. Cats burn out. You need some new burn. You ain't got no new burn. You're gonna be done. That's what I see that they're running into. And Detroit is fresh, and that's gonna come back to bite them in his behind. That's one of the reasons if you're watching this series, they struggling, they get tired, they get spent. Detroit's bringing fresh legs. Dennis Schroeder coming off hitting you off like that. Look at what they're doing. If they don't, if they want to have a chance to go to the finals, yes. Because if that thing goes 7 games, no, that's not going to happen. Because that's what they do. Except Jokic's case, because he can pass the ball and he facilitates. Cat has to hit that three because there's nothing else to him. You might be right about that because he burned his bridges in Chicago. He burned his bridges in Minnesota. And if he burned his bridges in New York, listen, he played for the Miami Heat, and I was a big fan of what he did. And I like his hard work and ethic. He just ain't no front dude. He's a good, strong sidekick. He's Robin to another Batman. But I know that he's showing himself now because he's on his last leg. He got to play great with Steph. But I know how inconsistent he can be and how he can go AWOL. So, I've been there. I'm not rooting for that. I hope they can win the chip this year. They don't need him. He needs them. They don't need him. He needs them. He needs a place that can surround him and shine. He's gonna be a hired hand wherever he goes. No, because they weren't going to win. That doesn't make you a number one. Jason Kidd did the same thing. I ain't being harsh on him. He is not that dude. He's a strong sidekick who I like a lot, but he ain't the dude. He's not that alpha. No, I don't know what era you in. I don't want KD to go. That SGA doesn't need him. He don't need him. KD doesn't stay healthy. He doesn't play defense. And I don't see, aside from romanticizing his past, I don't. What else? Oh yeah, he'll get to 30,000 plus. He's 30,000 plus points. He'll pass some more people up. What is he going to contribute to you when it's all said and going? He's a hard gun right now, so I don't really see the allure. Tom Brady won. Tom Brady went to won in Miami. He too old for Miami. Don't want him. If this was about 5 years ago, yeah. No, no. But what happened is that you know, he be out there doing things. He be at them gyms, be up there, and they know who he is. But see, when I saw the transcripts of what was said, it looks tacky. It looks tacky. She ain't. First of all, he's only in his 50s. It ain't like Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. Okay, so that's put in context. He's a whole 20 years younger than Belichick. Okay, I don't want to see it. I think KD going to Houston would make more sense than OKC. That's me personally. Unless KD was willing to come off the bench and throw 15 to 20 points a game, and then I'd say yeah, but not to start with SGA. Not at this stage. This team won 68 games. What could KD bring to them at this stage? Aaron Rodgers was older than Brady in terms of the way he played. He looked old when he left Green Bay. Ted could tell you that. Sadly, that might happen. You might be on to something. No, he shouldn't. Unless you want to talk about videotaping football games illegally, then we'll say that. His personal life, no. She's legal. His football career, yeah. We can debate that. He might go to Dallas. Because Nico Harrison keeps doing these press conferences. He might get him. I mean, you got AD, Kyrie. That would be and Clay. That would be an interesting. That might the oldies but goodies tour. That might be the place to be. Ted, you might be on to something. That might be it. That might be that look. Because Nico Harrison gonna have to do something, and they probably look like they're doing. You know, depends on the man. I can't say that. Some men are mature enough to do that. Some men are not. Depends on the maturation of the man. A lot of guys won't because they have midlife crisis and they're trying to still appeal and be cool and chic. And then once they get their money right, then they go get some arm candy, which ain't always the best look for you. Not from because that can cause a lot of unnecessary drama and stress and tension. So it all depends on who we talking about. Not all dudes though. Not all dudes. Some cats don't want to go out like that. Some turkeys do. Depends on who we talking about. Depends on who we talking about. some cats, that's what they do. But not every man thinks the same. Not every man wants the same things. Because the problem with that, you go too young, you're trying to appease, and then things turn out where it's not good. So it all depends on who we're talking about. Most of them ain't gonna think like that, but not all are like that. All right, now come on back in there. Let's get some conversation going. Let's see what we doing. Please hit this like up. Hit this. Hit, if you're watching, come on through. We're just having a good lively discussion. We've ventured into different topics, but feel free to come on through. Well, you're gonna have to make that 18-year mortgage payment plan, so that's for starters. Um, the ego is one thing because of what have you, but when there are certain things that you like and then it comes into conversation, that can be a problem. Maturation can be a problem because there's gonna be certain things that just ain't gonna make sense. Some things will, some won't. But if you have difference in philosophy and evolution of where you are, cats do it because it's fashionable and it looks cool and all that. Yeah, and see, the thing is most women are as mature at a certain point, but when she ain't, then you really are playing romper room. You in a real quagmire. You in a real situation because it's like, uh oh. Yep. Well, you come to a point in your life where you want to mature as a soul. You can look at someone and think, oh, this and that, but then you got to put the reality. Then it becomes the 80-20. It's the seesaw. You start to look at the seesaw. If I get on that seesaw, what we going to do? Because you might let me land and I fall hard. So we got to like have balance. And then a lot of times, could be, could be, could be. What makes you say it though? You picking up something? Let me know if you're picking up something with that. Oh, I'm sure that between Shannon and Ocho, someone been hollering at her. Again, that's a typecast. There are different. There's a lot of that like that, but then some of it that's not. So that's a 70-30. Because every man don't think the same at a certain point. Depends on what your trials and travels have been like. Your trails and travels have been like. Depends on what you've been like. That could be a reason why he getting a little jealous. Well, if he ain't made a move on her, and you know Shannon Ocho, somebody gonna holler at him. You know, Kamali there for the taking, and she gonna mess with brothers. She's she is she's definitely with the brothers. That's a fact. So she's definitely with the brothers. I'm sure he did. The problem with him is he's loud and country too, and he, you know, Cam's kind of like in his field. So, you know, I'm sure he did. You know, we wanted Cam to try to hit on that Frazier chick, but that ain't gonna happen. After he had to clap on her for all that when she clowned him, and then the network went and brought him on. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when they told her that Cam Newton was going to be part of the ESPN team after she clowned his hat and clowned all his takes about Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy and then it's a game manager and all that. I would love. No, it was a true story because he looked at Hannah Storm and his pinky, his afro blew back up because she was wearing a red dress. And he said, "Ooh," and then he got in trouble. But it happens a lot on there. He got suspended for like a week. It's on there. I mean, they do it. I mean, that because it's you gotta remember, you working together, you see things, you know. And sure, the hookups and stuff is there's a lot of stuff that we'll never be privy to because till it comes on the tell-all book, and I'm sure I could get some scoop on certain things I've been kind of, but I know Molly definitely because she likes the athletes and stuff. Oh yeah, Tarika was wild. Mr. Half Black, Mr. Italian, Mr. But he, one of the most knowledgeable cats on that block, though. That cat fits as good in Augusta as he does at the NBA Finals. I kid you not. Cat got a noggin on his head. That cat knows his stuff, but he funny time. He's a bop head brother too. He be bopping. I don't, there's a lot of. There was a book that had came out. It was a long time ago, and Chris Berman had some issue with him too. So yep, he be bopping. Berman, but that time they had that uncensored thing. It's on the YouTube. It was on there. He was cursing all crazy. They thought the cameras was off. So Berman been saying, yeah, he had a couple of episodes. Tom Jackson always kind of try to be dignified. Yeah, Berman. There's a video where he was cursing because they thought they went to commercial. It was an outtake. It's on YouTube. You got to see it. It's hilarious too. That came out. I saw that thing about years ago. I laughed. It was funny too. He was going up a storm. There's something about him that kind of, you know, tell how he tries to catch himself. He's a more smoothed out version of what Jay Mariotti was. But Bristol, Connecticut, you know how it is there. Because they get smug and they get comfortable. So you pick up on things. Mm-hmm. 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 Political. And just the vibe. I tell you all the time. What do I usually say about white announcers and folks in situations? And you gotta solidify. You gotta you know what's up? What's up, Jay? Well, we've been on here for about almost an hour. What's happening? Thought I'd come a little bit earlier. Yeah, you gotta solidify with me. You gotta let me know where you are. If you are, say it. Okay, cool. But don't front. But listen, if he's healthy, you in trouble. That's all I'm gonna say. He is that dude. You don't want him at his best. And I'm gonna say this before. I said this again. If he had stayed in Toronto, I don't know if Giannis got a ring. That's how good he is. Because you can't really put Kawhi in. You too big, he gonna go by you. If you're too small, he gonna tear your behind up. Yeah, Tim Kirchin. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good old boys in that whole pipeline. A lot of them. I used to feel that way about Tim McCarver too, because that's when Dion put that ice pack on his head. Hmm. See, Dion somehow got cool through time. Because Jokic doesn't really play. He doesn't really try to turn it on. That's the trip. He don't really, and he gonna have to because they don't get enough out of Portis and Aaron Gordon. They don't get enough. They don't utilize what they got. Vivica is thirsty. She stayed thirsty, and it is embarrassing. And then the whole thing, it is bad. So Tim McCarver, did you ever see that thing when Dion poured that ice on him and he said you're a real man now? Because he was talking trash at him. McCarver, I can't really get into full details because he was cool with Bob Gibson, but again, they different when they're in that booth with personality wise. It's a different ball game. It hits different. I'm not dissing Giannis. I just said that in terms of what he did with Toronto, because if you put him with Nick Nurse with that PJ Siakam and Van Fleet and Kyle Lowry, they had a chance to win a couple rings in Toronto. And when they didn't go back in 2020, I said if they'd have had Kawhi, that's what hurt. That's what hurt because Kawhi was a great fit there, and I thought that lineup was good enough to win a couple rings. So, oh yeah, when he's healthy, yeah. hmm She wore all that goo on her face, and Jim Baker with all that mess, and it looked like she was like, what's that girl? What's that one? That girl, I can't think of her name now, but that's who Tammy Faye remind me of. And all doled up and just looked like snorting too much coke. That's what it looked like. Just like, you know, I don't know. That's debatable. I liked them a lot. Like it's hard to say who's the best because again, it depends on what kind of, you know, you got to put that in consideration with the eras. He's one of them. I mean, I can make a strong case for him, but it's debatable. Well, it depends on other people that you name, and depends on what era they're in. Depends on, it's a lot of other factors. He was bad though. No argument there. Yeah, Tammy Faye was embarrassing. I can't think of who it is right now, but next time you're on, I'll have the one I'm thinking about. But that's what she remind me of. All right. Feel free to hit the like up, hit that if you're coming in, feel free to hit the subscribe and you know, introduce who you are. Come on through. Well, they were. They were. Different era in what they overcame. Samuel was he was bad, but he been talking a bit greasy, comparing himself to Dion. I'm like, look, you were bad. Had you intercepted that ball by Eli Manning, we might hold you up in high regards because you dropped that one interception. How things may have looked different. She was very beautiful. She was. What you want me to say about her talent? She was a good actress. More about her looks and imagery. Marginal singer, Stormy Weather. She got over because she was passing. That's what Lena Horne did back then. She tried to pass. Complexion for protection. She was trying to pass. So if you're familiar with the movie The Cotton Club and that whole era, she was trying to pass. Yeah, yeah. She messed with all the certain type of male white act artists that you know what she was going for. But I got a bombshell for you. You know who she used to live with before she went with all the white cats? She used to live with Arsenio Hall in her past life. But they probably told her that wasn't going to be the career move. It's going seven, but it shouldn't. The Knicks are lucky they don't get beaten five or six. They'll be very lucky. They better win a game in Detroit because if they lose a game in Detroit, they won't make it. And it's got all the makings for Detroit to. If Detroit wins the next game, I think the Pistons can win the series. I really do. JB Bickerstaff got them boys playing like they got nothing to lose. So if they can get some scoring and can hold on to leads, because the Knicks will look kind of flat. Aside from a run here and there, they've been like outplayed in this series. So that's what they better hope that the Pistons don't, So the Pistons gotta keep scoring and utilize their bench and wear them out. That's what you gotta do. You gotta put two on Brunson, wear out Cat. If you can do that, you can kind of stall him. I think Detroit can sneak it. I think they can win the series. But we're gonna see though. It's one of the few series that I like in the first round. I like this series a lot, and I like Denver the Clippers, and I like Golden State Houston. That's the only series that I'm into. She did. He can't help himself. He can't help himself because he be running them streets. He can't help himself because everything he wants to chase, he's got to put ends on. So he done made himself expandable and expendable for that. Yeah, that's what happened. It was back 2009, 2010. That's before he had any personality. And, it took a few years, then that kind of washed away. But he has to know that there are people that are out there watching him, and they're going to make an example out of him if they can. That's exactly what we're talking about. Oh, yeah. But she had to play it off because, again, racial politics, you know, they don't want you, no matter how open minded they say they are, what they are, they ain't that open as far as that. And his career. Kinda. But what was she gonna really star in that could showcase her skill set? I like her. And I think she's funny and she had personality, but she never got half the shine that Tisha Campbell did. But again, it's a lot of politics involved. And they got weird and strange things they do. Yeah, I do too. Because Tisha is kind of stiff. Tisha only got over because her imagery. I don't find Tisha to be that deep. I respect her hustle, but I ain't really got the. That's what I'm going at it. That's exactly it. She was in School Days, and she was in House Party, and she was in some big movies, but she ain't got no skill set. If she had a skill set, Halle Berry and Nia Long might not have had the careers they had. Think about it, because that's what Hollywood looks for. Danny Glover used to always say Hollywood was nothing but cosmetics. That's exactly what he go on about. Because is about how you blend into that cycle. If you look a certain way, they'll put the bag on you. They'll say, okay, you're worthy of this. That's what it come down to. Well, they know what you're going to allure. That's all what it's about. They play on that. Back when Jasmine Guy and Lisa Bonet, they put you in a box. You ever notice that Viola Davis always being the mean mad Rose crying? They put the skin tone into certain role play. That's what they do. They put them in a box, and that's what they expect them to be. If you somehow don't get trapped in that box, then you actually get, a career. But we could sit here and talk all day about the Hollywood plantation. I do videos about it. I've talked about it. It's for the women and for the fellas. That's why you see this mindset now, like in basketball, when they talk about Steph Curry, they talk about ain't no light skin could shoot like that. Do you hear the ignorance that come out of cats' mouth? The stuff that they say. This is that plantation mindset that ain't changed, and it works its way in music, movies, film, TV, sports. It's all conditioned to say this ignorant stuff. You know, but yeah, if Tisha had game, they'd have. Ted knows. Tisha Campbell's a queen of Tubi time. She's a Tubi specialist. And look, she alright, but I already know how she got over. And she knows it too if she's being real. She knows she ain't, she knows she ain't that got the chops like that. She sings a little bit. You don't want to hear an interesting Tisha Campbell story. Before, I gotta remember, because I think it was before he was involved with Lisa Bonet. Tisha Campbell and Lenny Kravitz used to be together. So, which got me thinking that that's how they, when you in that Hollywood game, all that stuff, you know. So, they set people up, put situations. So, what's up? How you doing? Glad you came aboard. I'm here for another 40 minutes, so your timing is perfect. I came early, so I caught the whole crew. So welcome aboard. Thank you for coming. But yeah, it's a lot of politics involved. It's a lot of imagery. It's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of who you know, what you can prove, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to show. So, that's what it is. That's how they operate. Yes, I'm not gonna be on tomorrow or Friday. I might come back on Thursday, and I might come back, and definitely the Saturday, Sunday. So just throwing it out there. So tomorrow and Friday, I'm not gonna be on. So I wanted to take advantage of this. Probably do like a nice hour and a half, 2 hour show. Probably Thursday I come back. Thursday I might consider, and then definitely Saturday or Sunday. So I wanted to get some times in, and as I tell everybody, eventually when I get everything edited down, I put it to the podcast situation. So if you don't see it live, it'll be there. But we got this thing going. So yeah, what's up? So but anyway, yeah, that's what's up with that. That all this stuff is connected, as I always say, and who you know and what you do and all that. So someone else just took the 71% say Shannon's in trouble. Okay. I think that's a pretty big story. And even if I didn't agree with it, and I still think I think she's okay. I'm not. She's an all right singer. She's an interesting host. She doesn't really have any vibe for me though to sell her career. No, overrated. I've grown up with Tisha Campbell for like 50. Yeah, Camille was cool. Been around Tisha Campbell forever and a day, and she never really got to. If we were playing baseball, you gotta have the bit of money behind you. So much politics. Gotta have the motorhome behind you. There's a reasons why they don't blow up, and you know why. I never did get the hype with Tisha. Well, I watched a lot of entertainment. You gotta remember, like, just don't do respect. TVs, movies, music, sports, politics, stuff like that. And especially in black world, you don't have but so many people that you don't encounter. So like people, it really ain't that because I mean, yeah, there's gonna be people, some people today that come around, but if I watch enough of it, I'll pick up on it too. But especially anything that was like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 00s, 8.5 out of 10, I'm gonna have some kind of connection or know something about them. And I've seen their work or what they were doing. And then when you ask how come they didn't blow up or what was missing or that, there's different reasons. But you get familiar with a lot of these folks. You get familiar with a lot of these folks. Sometimes it's work ethics. It's in the money. It's about what they're willing to do. It's so much. So it's all kind of connected, which it's really a small world after all. That's the reality of it. It's a small world after all. Okay, I got people on here. Thank you for coming through. Feel free to comment, hit the poll up, um, hit the likes, whatever. Please, glad to have you in here. If you watch enough TV or if you watch enough stuff, it comes kind of, you get familiarized. All depends on what era you coming in. No, no. I mean, he had a great career. Um, if you're talking box office, he's in the running. But if you're talking about the Hollywood machine, Shirley Temple Black. And it depends on what your criteria is. He definitely had complexion that got him over though, because you might laugh when I say this. Gary Coleman was big. Gary Coleman was big. Oh, I know he was. I know he was. I used to watch his movies. And let me tell you how Hollywood dumps down on people. He was an Uncle Buck, and then he turned around and did Home Alone. Think about it. He did that right in front of people. Oh yeah, he was big. Mhm. I'd say from about 90 to about 92, 93, he was that kid. Because if you ain't got no chops, unless you Jodie Foster, why would you be surprised? Because when you're playing a kid, you gotta have a certain skill set. Well, Emmanuel Lewis is actually a smart businessman. Actually done pretty well for himself. And he ain't bought and paid for by Hollywood. He didn't get caught up in all that other stuff. So he actually had a life which helped him from the craziness. He's real cool and calm. I watched this video on one of those this brother that has a hip hop podcast. He was talking. Man, you're real cool. You're real cool. He didn't get shuffled like that. He treated it like a job. He respected his friendship with Michael Jackson. I mean, he keeps his business. You know. So, but I was worried about some of those '80s shows were a bit much with that. Mm-hmm. Well, when you're a kid, you get tailor made, and if you got a personality or something, you blow up. It's hard to translate that to adult. You know, Tatum O'Neal had minimal success. She did do good, but when you win awards, it's hard to flip to a grown because people treat you different. I miss them cats too because I love me some good burger. Gary Coleman had what you talking about, Willis? Yeah, his parents pimped him, and he got hustled, and he was a cash machine. Cause there was a time he had a movies and TV movies, and people he was big. He was big, and he got hustled. Industry turned him out, took his money, and left him broke. Oh heck yeah! Welcome to Good Burger, home to Good Burger. Can I take your order? I said, love that movie. And the thing is, if you ever went to a fast food restaurant, I said, as long as y'all ain't Good Burger, we okay. And I was like, he cracked me up. He cracked me up. So I used to like that movie a lot. Sinbad and Ava Gold and Carmen Electra. I remember that like yesterday. Mhm. I did watch the movie with Cal. Cal had it was on Michael Jackson soundtrack. I forgot that movie. I watched that movie. I never really quite get into Keenan though. I don't find him that funny. I think he has, you know, he has some TV moment funny, but I'm not really that big into him. But I'm glad he had a career on Saturday Night Live. I mean, he been able to parlay it, but I like Cal better though. 62% saying yes. Shannon Sharp still getting a lot of votes. I saw a stat that well, they go back to 2019. 2018 is the last time an American won, and his name was James Harden. So in English, it's gonna be a while before you see another American win it. Just saying. Just saying. The NBA does not have, because it's not close. You can make the case that there is Jokic, Giannis, SGA, Luca. Those are your top four. So that's what we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. If you got it, just put it in context and perspective. Oh yeah, I forgot about him, but he ain't no longer in the top four conversation. But yeah, I forgot about him. I was trying to. Thank you for unfortunately reminding me. He cried and got that MVP. And what has it done for his career since? Second round exit last year, and then what? So he was bad though at one time, but he messed up bad. I don't want him to say nothing. I want him to do his talking on the court. What about Howard Stern? Yeah, he is. Howard Stern always got something to say. What did he say that got you all riled up? He always talking trash. I ain't pay Howard Stern no mind in a minute though. I wonder what Howard Stern said this time. He probably gave Bill Maher something. Well, she was having a lot of trouble and issues before that, though, to be fair. Because I don't know if you saw when she stole from that laundry place, in Vegas. She was going through some stuff. Yeah, that's what Howard Stern does. He always been the way he's been. Problematic idiot. Problematic. And people just like his off brand or whatever he tries to do, whatever you call it. So, trying to find my pen. All right, Paul Clark. I hope you're a good troll. You better have a good reason for that one. That ain't gonna happen unless he does some snitching. That's what I heard. That's the latest that I've heard. He better start singing like he's Pavarotti. Cause he ain't getting out no time soon. That's what I heard. His trial starts soon, and he's looking at a long bid. If you was asking me personally what I feel, I say 15 to what he's doing. But anything more than that, with them trying to tie him to the RICO, I'm not buying it. But they obviously don't. They obviously trying to, turn them lights where he's concerned. There's a lot more going on with him. A lot more. So that's what's up. Free Diddy. Okay, now come on through. Hit these likes up. Let me know where you at. I don't want to get quiet here. If we going to do some talking, we gotta do some talking. If not, I gotta do some walking. I'm gonna give you where everybody went. Let's see what I did with this thing. need some conversation. So we got. Appreciate everybody coming through. See a lot more people in the view section, so come on through. I could be a troll. I wouldn't think it's that deep, Charlene. I think it's a troll. Obviously, with all the stuff that's going against him, there can be something that can be weeded out, but he got a lot against him. He need like a Mack truck to get out of this. If he please, well, guilty because obviously that video with Cassie, even though that doesn't pertain to this, but he's guilty of that. But he's also, it's a lot of his karma that's at work. Innocent in the sense that he ain't hardly by himself, and there were other people that were there, Clive Davis, etc., the industry, etc., that turned him out. So we never get the total truth. And in his case, he's right about one thing. If Trump can walk around and claim presidency, how come he can't get hooked up? Because I mean, he do have a viable. So it's a double standard. But he didn't ticked off the wrong folk, and they done with him. That's what's up with that. And you don't need a PhD or be the smartest person or the sharpest tool in the boat to see that they are done with him. So now it comes down to what kind of time is he looking at. So if he plays the game a certain way, he can get out in about 15 or less. If he got something to offer, validity. Um, People do it all the time. How do I feel about it? Depends on who you're listening to. If they say anything that's constructive about it, depends on who we talking about. Depends on who you're talking about. I thought Kevin Samuels was interesting. I thought the more honest you are about it, depends on who we talking about. People like it though because they like to have a talk show variety. It's like that's why they used to watch Phil Donahue, Oprah, or some of these others because you know depends on what you're looking for in a relationship. Depends on what your context is. Different people have different reactions to what they want to talk about. So you know, again, it's always politics within relationships and what you're gonna willing to give, what you're willing to take, what you're cool with, what you ain't. So it all depends on who we talking about. People operate on their own axis and how they rotate. So that's the only way I can say it. I'm not gonna tell you nothing else because everybody's different. Mhm. Everybody's cool until they got to deal with the storm. So mhm, that's the key. All depends on what you want for your storm. All right, now feel free to hit that poll question. Hit the smash up them likes too. Let's get some more questions going. Welcome everybody that's coming through. Thank you for spending today here. So let's get it. For different reasons. It's a society that that has promoted it. It's a certain insecurity. It's also grass is greener. I've been like allowed like a rite of passage because unless you're being welcome and invited and loved just as you are, cats get money. They look at people like everybody wants what they got, so they never are secure. Yeah, you could say, well, when a broke man does it, well, he goes as much as options as he gets. It's all about your options. I can tell you why a rich man does it. Poor dude, it's almost like you either attracting people or you're just insecure and you're going for something to call home. That's an ego thing. And sometimes it's insecure, and sometimes it's also because you're not being respected. But a lot of times it's ego. A lot of guys go through life thinking every woman wants them. And depends on what your tax bracket is. So it's a lot of factors involved. And if they think they can, have fun, it's more about having fun than it is necessary. Not saying that all dudes who do it don't look for someone else, but a lot of it's a fun and games. You're in the main classroom, but you got a substitute teacher, and you're like, I'm gonna get over it. What do you think you're gonna do? That's my educated guess. It's a good question, though. No, you may not condone it, but why would you in your friendship? That doesn't really have bearing on your friendship because you're judging, and you should never judge something that you don't know the totalities. You may not condone it, you may not like it, and you might express your feelings and your thoughts. But why would you in your friendship? That wouldn't make no sense. So you gotta have a justifiable reason in your friendship. Hmm. Even a priest or a minister ain't going to his friendship behind that. So you got to come up with a better one than that. Just saying. Okay, let's keep it rolling. We're doing great tonight. We're doing great today. We've got quite a few people in the building. Just like to see those lights go up a bit more. But the poll question is doing quite well. Is there a limit to how much you accept a friend? depends on who we're talking about. It depends on how the dynamics are. I mean, it depends on what your expectations are. Um, Toxic in what way? Because if you're talking about we're politically divided, we're not going to be able to cut it. Like for instance, I did a video. I could never have no friend that's a Trump supporter. So let that be known off the top. So anything that's divisive or there's things that you can just tell. I don't have people like that I associate with. Depression is a different situation. Alcohol and substance, no, that's not something that I would be privy to. Depression can be happening any interval. That's easier said than done because if you happen to have a relationship with a family member, someone that you're close to, you accept it from there. You know you don't like it. You got to work through it. Now, if you happen to have a friend that went through something bad, break up, and then it turned on them, what you gonna do? So, we say that, but then we do embrace people that have these traits. I mean, I grew up as a fan of Richard Pryor, the comedian, actor, and he had those traits. So, but that didn't mean I was not going to support his movies or his work, because I thought a lot of them. But people who do self-destructive things, but we reward it from afar. Think about it. We don't want it up close and personal, but if it's an actor or a singer or a musician or athlete, we don't we you know. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. We definitely tolerate it more. It's a different level of threshold. Yeah, people are compulsive to certain things, and you know there is an indulgence that is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all you can do is offer prayers and thoughts with folks. There's some good topics we've definitely tapped into today, so I appreciate that. And as I always say, please continue to hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the poll questions. Definitely doing great today. Things look great. I'm just giving me a cough drop. Keep on talking. Sometimes I wonder where everybody goes on. It gets quiet up in here, but because it's such a groovy day, we are good. Please continue to hit the like, hit the poll questions. It's getting kind of quiet now. Appreciate that extra like. Appreciate that. Keep them likes coming. And if you got something you want to say, feel free to chime in. Been here for, yeah, been here for almost 2 hours. Not quite though, but I'm looking forward to seeing anybody who's got anything to say. It's kind of eased up a bit. Mm. Things keep coming back and forth. All right. Okay. Yeah, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for coming through. I was just waiting for someone to say something because I was waiting on conversation. It's kind of cooled down. We've been here for a good minute. Okay. You must have saw that thing that I put up. That's one of my future ones. I do too, because he did New York Undercover, and that was a recurring theme. And then when he did an SUV, LL's in the house was like a broke version of Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And then it wasn't until he did the CSI thing. And of course, I like the Geico commercials. Ice Tea. That was funny with the girls in lemonade. That was hilarious. So his charisma is definitely, yeah. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I put that question up. So anybody wants to come through and speak on stuff, feel free. We welcome it. This has been one of the best live ones in a while. So appreciate that. 67% saying yes, Shannon Sharp's in trouble. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. thoughts and comments or anything else on the polling and anything else you want to talk about, let me know. Appreciate the likes. Let's see what I got. It's gotten quiet again, so we'll see. See if we can get another one to hit that poll up. It was a pretty good day. See where everybody went. Mm-hmm. We got a couple more minutes. I'm going to see if anybody's going to do anything. Because we're just kind of like, I'm just going to see for a couple minutes what's going on. Anybody want to take the poll question? Our viewers or whatnot, thoughts and comments? Feel free, feel free. We're just in chill mode. Okay. All right. Everybody got kind of quiet, so I guess it's kind of phasing out a bit. So if I don't hear nothing in another minute, I'll pretty much call it a day. Just trying to see if anybody's still out there. Got anything they want to say and want to talk about? It was definitely a great overview of people that came through today. Great responses, great support. Appreciate everybody talking. And of course, this whole thing with Shannon Sharp, that was really good. At least here, well, it's cool. I'm gonna come back probably in a couple days. I'll be back in a couple days because I got to tomorrow and Friday. So there's a lot to talk about. It all depends on what you want to talk about. But anyway, we covered a lot of ground. You answered some great questions as always, and it was some good topics, and it's appreciated. My brain always works. That's why you see all my videos because I got a lot of stuff I'm putting out and doing. But like to take the time to see if anybody wants to talk about stuff, and that's okay. I appreciate you coming because you helped it out immensely, and I appreciate everyone that came through. So they made for a great day, great time. And I just go by the vibe, so if people don't have anything else to say, it's cool. It makes for a great show, though. Nevertheless, we got a lot accomplished, and it was definitely great to be here. So thanks to everybody that came through. So I was here for like almost a couple hours. I was here, so that way, like I said before, I'll probably be back on. Try to come back on Thursday around the same some of the time, if not a little bit later. It all depends what's going on today. Anyway, I'll sign out now. Peace. peace. The best to everybody. Thank you for everybody that came through. Words and comments. Great conversation. Appreciate the ones taking the poll, the questions. And thank you again. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.